Hello, this is Rick Hebron. We're studying Hebrew. We've learned this many letters so far. We've learned Aleph, Bet, and Vet, which is basically the same letter without the dot. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, He, Vav, Zayin, and Lamed. So we can sing a little bit of our Aleph Bet song. Goes something like this. It's fractured because we don't have very many letters yet, but Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, He, Vav, Zayin, something, 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 Lamed, and a bunch of other stuff we haven't gotten to yet. There's our Aleph Bet song. We've learned these vowels so far. The Patach goes under a letter. It goes Ah. The Kametz goes under a letter. It goes Ah, which might be a bit longer of an Ah. We've learned the Tsere, which is a stop. There's no vowel at all. We've learned O, like in Dod. We've seen this a couple of times. They haven't really introduced it, but with Dov and with Lo, we've seen this dot above. And we've also learned the Segol, which is 3 dots. It goes A, like in Degel, the word for flag. Let's practice reading a little bit for a warm-up on page 11 from the lesson we did last week. The first 10. And when we're reading, we need to be patient with ourselves. Take your time. You have to sound out a letter at a time, a vowel at a time. You won't be able to do it as fast as I'm doing it, but I'm showing you what it should come out like. Page 11, the first one, Gag Gadol. Gag Gadol. The second, Gal Gadol. Gal Gadol. The third, Dod Gadol. Dod Gadol. The fourth, Doda Gedola. Doda Gedola. Hagalgal Hagadol. Hagalgal Hagadol. 6. Hadegel Hagadol. Hadegel Hagadol. 7. Hadag Hagadol. Hadag Hagadol. 8. Hadod Hagadol. Hadod Hagadol. 9. Hadoda Hagadola. Hadoda Hagadola. And 10. Bagal Hagadol. Bagal Hagadol. Great. We've had a little practice in reading. We should practice it every day. It'll help you. Now we'll go into chapter 5. On page 15, we'll start off learning another vowel. We already learned the Segol, which goes E under a consonant, E with 3 dots. Now we learn the Tsere with 2 dots. Sounds about the same, E. This E might be a little bit longer than that one. I call these the egg vowels, like the E in egg. Using the Tsere, we've got the word Hallel. Hallel means praise. Write it, practice it, say it. Hallel. Hallel. Praise. And then loves, ohev. Ohev, loves. It's a masculine verb. Write it again. Say it again. Ohev. Ohev. Beautiful, beautiful. And a word for God, a name of God, would be El. 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 One of God's names. El. Now we'll learn another letter. It's a consonant, usually, or sometimes at least. It's called Yud in modern Hebrew, and it's called Yod in biblical Hebrew. So in the script, if we have a line like this, it's going to be up high in it, and it's going to look like that. In the block, slightly different, something like that. And it's not an apostrophe, it's a consonant. At least some of the time it's a consonant, and when it is, it has a sound of y. It sounds like y. Okay? Here's a nice word that we use as the yud. Haya. Haya means was in the masculine singular. Haya. Write it. Say it. Haya. Haya. Beautiful. Sometimes the yud is put together with a vowel before it, a dot under the preceding letter, and then you have the yud, and then it's the sound of E. I mark it like that. You might think of it as that sound, E. We take the name, the word Yadid. Yadid means friend. We've got two yuds here. The first one goes y, it's a consonant. The second one just reinforces this little dot here, which has the sound of E. Yadid. Friend. Write it a couple of times. Practice it. Yadid. 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 Friend. You'll see another thing that the yud does. If it's after a vowel, which is a patach, and then you have the yud, then you have a sound of I. I. You can write the word die. Die means enough. It means stop. Die. My brother and I went to Israel, and he went to stay at his pen pal's home, and the man had a wife, several children, and a dog. And my brother saw his friend sitting there on a chair with his daughter in his lap, and he was tickling her, and she had had enough. She said, "Die, Abba." I thought that was really great. And then they had a little Hebrew dog whose name was Sheleg. Sheleg means snow. And they would say something like, Sheket, Sheleg, which means quiet, Sheleg, or Shev, Sheleg, sit, Sheleg, or die, Sheleg, enough, Sheleg. And my brother said, that little Hebrew dog and I were at about the same level. Another word that has this combination would be Gai, which is the word for valley. And I apologize for how strange this word's going to look. Gai, and it stops right there. This aleph doesn't do anything. Gai, valley. We'll now look at a consonant, which is called Vav, and we've seen this do other things, but we're going to learn Vav as a consonant. In a script, it looks like this. It fits in the line like that. And in the block, it looks like this. This is the Vav, and the sound that it makes is V. There are people that I could find right here in town that would say that this letter is called Wa. Wa. And indeed, you hear that sound in Arabic. There's a letter that represents this, and in Arabic it's W. It may very well historically have been W in Hebrew too, but now it's Vav. It's V. To say the word and, in front of a word we're going to put V. We'll attach this to the front of the word, V. So we could say the dog and fish. The dog. The dog. Or let's have the name David. David. This is how they're spelling it in this book. I know 3 different spellings for David in Hebrew. There's this one in this book, and that's what we're going to go with for now. David. Write it. David. It means beloved. David. David. At the top of page 16, we've got a couple of words that are useful. We don't have all the letters to write them in Hebrew yet, but we can learn how to say them. Ken means yes. Ken, yes. Mashiach means Messiah. Mashiach is Messiah. There's a song I'm going to include with this week's lesson. It's called Od Yishama. It's sung at weddings. It says, again will be heard in the cities of Judah and on the streets of Jerusalem a voice of joy and a voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride. Od Yishama be'ara Yehuda uvechutzot Yerushalayim kol sason v'kol simcha, kol chatan v'kol kala. You don't need to learn all these words now, but you enjoy the song and you'll identify and recognize a word or two of this. When it says the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, chatan technically means son-in-law. And kala, rather than bride, technically means daughter-in-law. Because when you marry into a family and it's a package deal. You don't get just your spouse, you get the whole family too. For this week's homework, start on page 16. The top 2 lines, just learn to say those words. Just learn to say Ken, which means yes, and Mashiach, Messiah. Fill in the blanks on the bottom of page 16, fill in the blanks, and then on the bottom go from English to Hebrew. Page 17 at the top, translate from Hebrew to English, and at the bottom do matching, and work from right to left on the page. The only way it'll make sense for you is to work from right to left. Start with the right column first. And I should note that number 2, towards the top of the page, there's a new word, Ziva, with a Vav. Ziva happens to be a woman's name. On page 18, you'll see block Hebrew. Convert the block writing to script, and then translate it to English. That will be your written homework. It'll help you. And keep working through Pimsleur Hebrew. This will be helpful too. It'll help you a lot. Thank you.